Hi, I'm Bill, the comic book guy, and I'm starting a new vlog series, and I want to explain the new business that I've started. So let me give you a little background. I used to be Joe Engineer, and I had surgery a couple years ago, and after that surgery, I wasn't able to go back to work and do what I normally do. So I was sitting around at home one day, and I was doing the typical thing that you do with comic books. You get up on eBay and sell them because I've got a pretty large collection. And one day it occurred to me, gee, I've got all these comic books. Instead of selling them, why don't I rent them? So I went off and decided that I was going to start a rental business. Now, a little background on that. When I was a little kid, my mom would go to this place called Ray's Trading Post, and they would have these racks with comic books in them. And my mom would get me these comic books. And then she'd typically get me 2, 4, 6 comic books, things like that. And I would read them, and then we would take them back and we would trade them in. And so we would get a certain amount of money back for the comic books when we would bring them in and trade them in. So I did that as a little kid. And I know that model really works, and it works actually pretty well. The other thing about comic books was I struggled reading when I was a little boy in 4th grade. I'll never forget, I was in this special class. I didn't even know that it was special reading class because nobody told me. But I remember I had to go down the hall and go to the special class, and we would sit and read these boring little articles and things. And the teacher got with my mom and asked, gee, what can we do to get him to read? And my mom mentioned that he likes to read comic books. And my teacher said, well, then go ahead and get him doing that. And so I started reading comic books, and my reading got a whole lot better. And so to this day, I am an engineer. So I can see the benefit of comic books, and I can see the benefit of people reading comic books. And so the mission for my new company that I formed is Read to Succeed, because I believe if you get the comic books into the hands of kids, that they'll just do what comes naturally, and they'll just naturally want to try to read, and they'll naturally want to try and figure out what the words are, and they'll naturally become better readers. Okay, so anyway, back to my other story, and that is basically I decided that I was going to start this new company, and I'm going to call it Comic Book Rental. And so, well, okay, so I had things set up on eBay for selling comic books. Now I had to start a whole new process and set up a bunch of things to be able to rent comic books. So where do you even start with something like that? Well, the very first place that I thought of was, gee, I'm going to need to be able to get out a lot of information to a lot of people. And so I thought about the internet, obviously, and doing a website and things like that. I thought, that's going to take a long time to grow something like that, and that could be a tough road. So I went off and did some cold calls to the comic book shops in town, and I wanted to see if there was any interest from them about doing this type of thing. And here's the response that I got when I called them. Crickets. Yes. All of them had absolutely no interest in doing this. No interest, zero interest. So I figured, all right, I get it. This is something new. This is something that people are not doing. And so, the common question was, if you're going to rent comic books, well, how are you going to do that? I mean, what if they don't return the comic book? Well, there's a way that you can go ahead and you can write that off. So that's not really a big concern. And actually, if people want to rent comic books from you over and over, they're going to return the comic books. And then the other question was, well, gee, the comic book might actually get worn. Well, it's a comic book. People actually want to read these things, not just actually buy them and store them, which is what a lot of comic book readers do now. I get that. I used to do that. but I think there's a whole segment of people that actually would enjoy reading comic books. So I collected comic books back in the good old days of the 80s and the 90s. And what I did was I found out that I collected a lot of #1 comic books. I have like 500 #1 comic books. So it's going to be interesting when I start getting these things out there and get people reading my comic books. They're going to find there's a lot of retro comics that are from that era that actually are #1 comic books, which is kind of cool. So what do I have for comic books? Well, I have comic books from the 60s, some from the 70s, a lot from the 80s and the 90s. And so I have about 2,000 comic books. Okay, so nobody in town was interested in doing this with the comic book shop. So what was my next thing to do? Well, next thing that I tried to do was I tried to rent out to the local businesses in town. And I did actually get one business to actually take and try it for a month, and they're doing it right now. It's a dental office. And of course, as things will happen, I got them 10 comic books and they were all happy about it. And then I get a call one day and they said, guess what? Somebody stole all the comic books. Well, I took that as a positive thing. If those kids see those comic books and want those comic books that badly, then obviously they like comic books and they're going to read them and they're going to enjoy them. So I just replaced the comic books with a smile and told them that was a good thing, and I think it is, and moved merrily on my way and went and called other dental offices and called into other businesses like car dealerships and things of that sort. Really not getting a lot of interest, people not really interested in it. So after a while, I stopped doing the cold calling and realized, let's go with the internet. I know there's got to be people out there that actually want to read comic books. So then what I did was I started setting up a whole infrastructure around renting comic books. And so that's what I'm going to show you right now. And so what did I have to do? Well, I had a whole bunch of skills. I come from being a systems guy and a software guy and a hardware guy, and I can do all that and set all those systems up. But now I had to set up a whole new system to support the comic book rental. Well, what I set up is a bunch of things. There's a lot of free resources out there. And one of the things that I'm real big on is Shark Tank. And Shark Tank basically takes you through and shows you, when people come in and present their businesses, do you know what your business is? Because they should be able to describe their business in really 1 minute. So, okay, I'm going to do the Shark Tank thing to myself. Okay, so Bill, tell us about your business. Okay, so my business is comic book rental. Basically what I do is I have different subscription rates depending on how many comic books you rent from me. But what I do is I take whatever amount of comic books that you want to rent, I package those up and I send them to you, and you rent them for 2 months, and then you send them back to me. And the shipping is free. And so that basically in a nutshell is my business. And so, well, what did I do to set up this business? Well, the first thing that I want to show you is I am on YouTube. And I have gone in and I have set up the typical YouTube channel. And I had to learn some skills to be able to do this, of doing thumbnails and recording videos and setting things up. This page up, and I've come down here and I've already uploaded a video. This one right here is basically a video on, well, how do you rent comic books? How would you go in and do that? Because normally you buy comic books. So I've got a whole video that takes you through everything, and I've got my comic books up on YouTube that you can rent from me, and I'll go through that in a minute. I remember that you have to have a little fun along the way, and I'm a big Ellen DeGeneres fan, so I made a video here just to kind of improve my skills a little bit too about Ellen, because I watch Ellen every day. And so I've got a video on Ellen, and it basically takes you through 10 questions about, do you know Ellen pretty well? And so I did that. And so that was to hone my skills even a little bit more. And then if I scroll down here, what I see is I've got right down here, I have got right down here. Right down here, as you can see down here, I've got a playlist, and I've only got one video on that playlist at that point. Now, let's go to the next tab. And that tab basically is my eBay. Now, I had already set up a bunch of things on eBay to be able to rent comic books. And so what I've done here is, let me just show you here. I have basically, if you go into eBay and you just type in rent comic books, I am the only one on eBay right now that is renting comic books, if you can believe that. The only one. And I've got these three that will come up. There are three different subscription rates of $35, $20, and $25. And basically, the big difference here is the number of books you buy. And so the $35 is one amount of books, and then the 20 is another amount of books, and the 25 is another amount of books. And I won't go into detail about this. If you go to my other video and watch how to rent comic books on eBay, it'll step you through all of these things on eBay and all the subscription rates and what they are and all of that. But basically, it basically comes down to how many books you want to buy. And the rate is anywhere from, after even shipping is free. And even with that, if you buy as few as 10 books, you can get a $2 per book rate. And that's even included with the free shipping. But if you go up to 50 comic books, you get as low as 70 cents per comic. And that's even including shipping. So that's a really great deal. So anyway, I had to set all that up on eBay, and all of that is set up now. And then I had to get on Twitter. Now, I will just say, first of all, I am not on Facebook, and I had no idea to get on Facebook because I didn't really think Facebook was really going to buy me anything. So let me just scroll up here for a minute. I am. So basically, this is my Twitter channel, and this is basically my Splash channel. And there I am on Twitter. Now, I'm new to Twitter. I don't really know Twitter that well. I'm getting to know it, and I love it. There's a lot of great people out there, and there's a lot of really great things happening. So there we are. I'm up on Twitter now. I'm Bill Kramer. I'm at Bill_Remark on Twitter. And so I get up there and I Twitter every night, and I basically send out tweets about my business and what I'm doing. And I send out tweets about other fun things that are going on in the comic book world. So I had to do that. That was another free resource. All these resources are free. And I also had to set up your good old email. So I'm up there on Yahoo email, and I've got my email set up, and I'm Comic Book Rental up there at yahoo.com. So I've got all that set up. That's great, wonderful. And then I decided, gee, let's go ahead and come over here. And I think I'm going to probably need a website. So I said to myself, gee, let's go ahead and set up a website. I didn't really want to do it. I didn't really know it was going to buy me anything. But I decided to set up the website. And so I went in and I looked around and decided that I was going to go with the wixsite.com. So I did, or the Wix site. And so I was able to actually set this website up in one day. And I thought that was pretty good. I was pretty impressed with the software and everything. But the only problem that I ran into with this whole thing was the fact that I'm really not seen or not known out there on the internet. And so that was a big deterrent to me to use the website. Even though I liked it, I thought it turned out pretty good. And it did everything that I wanted it to. So at this point in the game, I'm really not using the website. And if the people from Wix want to let me know what I can do with this and get myself known out there more, that'd be great. I'd take any help I can get. And then I also got on Craigslist. And so here is one of the cities I'm in. I'm in a multitude of cities, but I've got set up basically, and it basically tells a lot of the information that I already have up on my eBay. And it basically takes you through the rundown of, you can rent the comic books, and here's what the title is, and here's how many titles there are, and here's contact information and all that type of information. And there's all kinds of sites to go to. So that's basically the rundown of where I am right now. And here is the biggest statistic of what I am doing, which is if you come to eBay and if you go and click on this, you will see there is no comic books rented at this point. Zero, zilch. So at this point in the game, I haven't rented any comic books to anybody up on eBay. And here's what I want to do. I want to change that. And I want you, the viewer, to give me any input you've got, or share this with your friends, or even better, go ahead and rent from me, because I've got a lot of great comic books. So that's it. I'm Bill, the comic book guy. That's my story. This will be an ongoing series to keep you up to speed with what I'm doing with this business. And any input you've got, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and have a great day. Bye.